Hello and welcome to Burning Issues, the only program that provides you a glimpse inside the Wichita Fire Department. I'm Fire Marshal Brad Crisp, and in this episode we'll talk about the National Safe Place Program, a national effort to provide immediate help for young people in a crisis. Safe Place provides access to immediate help and supportive resources for all young people in crisis through a network of sites sustained by qualified agencies, trained volunteers, and businesses. Safe Place is a national youth outreach program which educates thousands of young people every year about the dangers of running away or trying to resolve difficult and possibly threatening situations on their own. This easily replicated community initiative involves the whole community to provide safe havens and resources for youth in crisis. Safe Place has created a network of Safe Place locations, youth-friendly businesses, schools, fire stations, libraries, YMCAs, and other appropriate buildings who display the distinctive yellow and black Safe Place sign. All 22 fire stations located in Wichita are designated safe places. Joining us today is Risa Rehmert. Risa is the coordinator for the Safe Place program here in Wichita and also works for the Wichita Children's Home. So Risa, thank you for being here and appreciate your attention. I know this is something near and dear to your heart, but before we get started with the questions, how long have you been with the Children's Home and how long has the Safe Place program been around?
I've been at the Children's Home for almost 23 years, and Safe Place was around probably about 2 or 3 years before I came. So
this is something it's been around for a while, and it continues to evolve. I'm sure you guys are honing things in and getting better every year. So it's a great program, and I know we've been participants for well over 5 years now in the Safe Place program. So it's a great program, and it's something that we want to talk about today, obviously, to kind of remind people of what the program's for and some of the success stories as well. So why do young people, kids or young adults need a safe place to go?
Well, I think anytime you're going to have youth that are vulnerable in your community, and sometimes that vulnerability lasts a childhood, and young adulthood. And sometimes you have youth that have that one-time emergency.
Sure.
They're with somebody that's drinking and driving, they can't get a hold of their parents, and they don't want to get in a car with them, they don't have a way home. So it can be a single event, it can be that kid that is in a situation that's really just a struggling situation, can be kids that are kicked out. I mean, any kind of crisis that a youth is in. And the number one reason why we pick up kids is homelessness. They call us because they don't have a place to stay that night.
Wow.
And of course we serve 12 to 21. Actually, we would pick up a 5-year-old. We're going to show up anytime a kid walks in there. But the target age is 13 to 21 here in Wichita. 12 to 21. Locally, nationally, you're going to deal with 12 to 17, but we raise it. There's a few communities that take it up to 21. And so that range, most times 18 to 21-year-olds, it's homelessness. Our second reason is runaway and crisis and danger. And so some kind of crisis situation that has occurred. So
I'm trying to put this in terms that at least I would understand. If a child feels like they're in a threatening situation to the point where they feel like they're going to be harmed or they could be harmed by whatever stuff is going on, they could seek out a safe place, and we're going to talk more about the next steps once they seek out a safe place. Or even something as simple as a child who's considering running away from home or from a bad situation, this is a place where they could go to get help.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 hours a day, and that is the beautiful thing about the fire stations, quick trips, and even our crisis line. It operates 24 hours a day. So I got a call this morning at 2 o'clock in the morning from my on-call person, and a person that walked into a quick trip, and she had some questions about what to do. So we really do respond just like you guys do, 24 hours a day. Yeah.
So how does Safe Place work? There's a crisis, a child or a young adult says, you know what, this is a bad situation. I need to go somewhere and get help. How does that process work? What happens next?
Well, they can either call our crisis line, Or the great thing about that sign is that a kid can be wandering around and be in a daze and not know what to do and know they just can't go home. You know, a lot of times we pick up kids who were told to get out of the house, and
they were literally kicked out.
Yeah, they're literally said, you know, you need to get out, and or there's something going on, and they're walking around and they're kind of in a daze, and they can see that sign, and all they had to do was sit through a presentation or have a card that somebody handed to them in an event or whatever, and then that cues them to be able to walk in there. Sometimes they know they're going there from the very beginning.
Sure.
But the sign, and it's, you know, at the fire stations, you got the big signs up. It's really visible and a good cue. So a kid will walk into that safe place location and say, I need safe place, I need help. And then we have little procedure cards at all of our sites that they don't have to remember what to do. They just need to remember to look at that card.
You're talking about the people who are actually at the site, whether they're firefighters or people at Quick Trip.
Yeah,
YMCA.
Yeah.
They know what to do next.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they're going to call us, and within 20 to 30 minutes, we're going to be at a location. And our first job is just to get there. And we want to be on site and be there as soon as we possibly can, because the kid's probably dealing with some anxiety and really stressed out. And so we want to get there. Obviously, if it's a 911 situation, any of our sites are going to follow their own policies and call 911 if it's a medical situation or anything like that. But knock on wood, we really haven't had that, but they're going to call us. We're going to come pick up the kid. I typically start with a couple of questions. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on and what do you want to have happen? And then at that point, we then move to, we're going to try to get that kid back home if it's possible and if it's safe.
Sure.
Not always possible, not always safe.
Right.
So then we start looking, if they're under 18, the children's home is the only other place that we can take them. And then our services are designed there to help reunite that kid with the family if it's possible and if it's safe.
Sure.
If not, then we start looking at other options.
So just to clarify, if a young person takes advantage of the safe place, the firefighters, the Quick Trip employees, the YMCA employees, and other groups, they're not going to start interrogating this kid and asking them questions. There's a high degree of confidentiality in this program.
Right.
We make a phone call to you.
Right.
Your staff come out, and then it continues to be very confidential. Your staff talks with the child. The employees aren't involved, other than we provided them a safe place until they can get help.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, we had a situation at the fire station out at Maple and Mays where the guys called us. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. And we walked in, and the girl was sitting in an office, and the firemen were great. She felt comfortable. And so their job is just to keep them safe until we get there.
So we've talked about fire stations and YMCAs and Quick Trips. What are some of the other places that display that very distinctive black and yellow safe place sign?
Well, we have YMCAs, we have Quick Trips, we have all the city locations, and so rec centers and libraries and fire stations and substations. So all of those locations, anywhere they see that, and anywhere in the nation they see that sign, and those locations will be different nationally than here.
Sure. Well, yeah, because they're participating businesses.
Right.
And it's not just a Wichita and Sedgwick County thing. I mean, that's what we're talking about today, but this is nationwide.
Right.
If you're on vacation, if you relocate to another community and a child were to find themselves in a bad situation, they could go somewhere to a safe place, even in another community.
Right. And this has been, you know, when you look at trafficking, this has been a program that works really well, because a kid can, you know, we got a girl from Vegas that was trafficked here, and she knew where to get help because she saw a safe place sign. So yeah, it really network everywhere they go. And street kids, it's really great because they can end up being taken somewhere across country and see a sign and know who to call.
I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball here. Can anyone use a safe place, or do you have to be a child or a young adult? What if I was in my mid to late 20s and I just didn't know where to turn?
That's funny, because last night we got a call from a 29-year-old, you know, from a safe place, and we don't serve 29-year-olds, but we're absolutely going to talk to them on the phone.
Sure.
We're going to give them resources. We're going to direct them on where to go. So we have every once in a while, you know, Quick Trip called us. We had a special needs woman, you know, in her late 20s, And they said, can you please
Can you
come help us?
Yeah.
And so we showed up and helped resolve that situation. But we're going to target that 12 to 21.
Sure. Well, and yeah, I mean, it's specifically designed for that age group, but it's not like you're going to leave somebody there that's older.
Right.
There's still avenues to get them help.
Right. We're going to try to get them to the correct resources so they can be best helped.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, since the Wichita Fire Department joined this program, we've had 5 instances where our fire stations have been used. And that may not sound like a lot, but those are 5 people, 5 lives that may have been helped. And I know there's many more success stories across Wichita. About how many times a year do Safe Place locations in Wichita get used, and are there any in particular that stand out to you as a real success story?
Yeah, we have between 200 and 300 calls every year, depending, on the year. And a large portion of those are runaway and homeless youth and crisis and danger situations. And, just last week we had a 15 and a 17-year-old runaway that came to a quick trip, and through a series and working with Exploiting Missing Children's Unit, we were able to get them to a safe place. I got a call one time from 3 girls, and it was late at night. It was like 1 a.m. They'd gone to a party with their 3 boyfriends, and their boyfriends had started drinking. They didn't want to get in the car with them.
Sure.
And they said the party's getting kind of scary. And so we went and picked them up and took them back home. And so I have a kid right now that is in our transitional living program that we picked up on a Safe Place call, and she was involved in trafficking, was homeless, had been involved in domestic violence, and now she's in working, going to school, and in transitional living.
That's a great story.
Yeah. About 80% of the kids in our transitional living program come through our street outreach program. So we're kind of that triage emergency room for kids in crisis. And so they come through us, and Safe Place is the main door that happens,
Sure.
that they either call our crisis line or walk into a quick trip or a fire station or a library or something like that. And that's the first contact.
Well, I think people will be amazed if you have 200 to 300 of these events a year. You're having a phone call made from somebody in distress about every other day.
Yeah.
And that's just here in Wichita.
Yeah, that's just here in Wichita. Yeah, and you look across the nation, and Safe Place really is as successful as their outreach is.
Sure.
People don't call if they don't know about you. And
Right.
so, we're kind of probably at the upper level of calls, but there are people who have a lot more than we do, communities that have a lot more than we do.
Sure.
So
It's a great program.
it is.
And
It's
getting
really,
the word out like this is obviously important to the program.
Yeah, and to take the city and corporate and nonprofit and bring everybody together, it really is, I think, a really great way to bring a community together to protect some of the most vulnerable youth in our community.
Sure.
So.
Well, we're in the midst of a new training cycle. In the fire department, we do training all the time, and we train on different things. And we get new employees every year, and so we freshen up even our training, and we're getting ready to provide that training to our firefighters again, so that they know what to do when somebody shows up.
Yeah.
But if our audience wanted to learn more about Safe Place, is there a website? Is there somewhere where they can go and read up on this and find out more about the program, and perhaps maybe their business could get involved or something like that? Where could they go? Who could they call?
Well, there's a couple of sites. There's nationalsafeplace.org, and then even the Wichita Children's Home. You can go to wch.org, and we have a little video there on Safe Place. It also has a way to contact us. So you could call the Children's Home, they would get a hold of me, or you could look at the national site and see what's going on nationally and see the corporate office, kind of what's going on there.
Great. Well, part of the reason that we're talking about this today is because there's been a bit of a facelift to the Safe Place sign, and it's freshened it up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about what made that change. Why did that change take place, and what should people look for? What is in the new sign that people should look for and identify with?
And you'll see, even as in communities, that there's still changing over. Like we have our new decals out. The old sign had, it was like 30 plus years ago that Safe Place started, and they started with that sign. And it was a guy hugging a kid. And as the years went by, that wasn't the greatest message being seen by people, and it was just outdated. It was outdated. So the national office did a lot of surveying of youth and did a lot of focus groups of youth, and they came up with several ideas, and the youth across the nation picked the sign that we have now that really just says safe place, somewhere to go, someone to help, and it has a little house in the A. So it's very plain, it's very recognizable and very simple, and doesn't give off messages that used to be great messages 30 years ago, but now not as clear of a message.
Right.
So
it was time for a change.
Yes, it was.
So look for those black and yellow signs out there, and obviously if you are a young person in a crisis, or if you know of somebody who's in a crisis, look for those safe place signs.
Yes.
There is help out there available.
Yes. 24 hours a day.
Risa, thanks a lot for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate all the work that you and the Children's Home do in our community. It's a very important venture. It's very important to our youth, and we really appreciate all the efforts you guys make.
Well, and thank you. I mean, without the partners of the fire station, Quick Trip, and everybody else, we couldn't make it work.
We're glad to be partners in that.
Yeah,
thank you. If you would like to become more involved in the City of Wichita, or if you want to learn more about the Wichita Fire Department, you can go to wichita.gov and click on the Fire Department link, or you can call the Fire Department at 268-4441. If you'd like to learn more about the Safe Kids, you can go to nationalsafeplace.org, or you can call 316-993-7671. That concludes this episode of Burning Issues. Our mission is to provide our community excellent proactive fire and life safety services through prevention, education, and protection. Remember, Wichita firefighters are highly trained professionals who are your friends and neighbors. They are Wichita's bravest, and they're somewhere serving you in many ways every day.